Okay, so this slide is the same one that was the last one from the cosine note. So when you do these word problems, you have to look and see, is it a right angle triangle or not? If you're using angles and sides, then you have to do SOHCAHTOA. If it's not a right angle, then try to use the sine law first. If you can't, like if you have side, 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 or side, angle, side, then you're going to have to use the cosine law. So 3 billiard balls are lying as shown. Now, it's hard. I can't photocopy color. So the 2 dark ones, like if you want to label them red and black on your picture, sorry, there's nothing I can do. I can't photocopy in color. You okay? It's fancy. The white cue ball is 55 centimeters from the red ball. And 62 centimeters from the black ball. The line segment from the red ball to the white ball, and the line segment from the red ball to the black ball form an angle of 82 degrees. So that is wordy for sure. So what you're trying to think of is, what does it say? So we have the red to white ball, that's this line segment, and the red ball to the black ball, they have an angle. So the 82, an angle of 82 between them. So that it goes in there, okay? Let's say you labeled that incorrectly and you put the 82 somewhere else, but you did all the rest of the math okay, then I would probably take off like half a mark, okay? So if you are like, I don't even know where to put this, guess, okay? Do your best, obviously, but don't leave the question blank because you don't know where to put the angle, because I'll take off a tiny amount of marks if you put it in the wrong spot, and then I'll give you marks for carrying your mistake through correctly, okay? So now it's up to you. When you do a word problem similar to another type of problem, you should label the triangle first, especially if you have one like this that doesn't have a right angle and you have to use the sine law or cosine law. What you can do, even though it talks about the white cue ball, whatever, you don't have to use W, R, B. Why don't you just use ABC, right? Who cares, okay? If that's what you're used to, then, and that's the form of the sine law and cosine law you're going to be given is A's and B's and C's, so you might as well get used to that. Okay? And then we want to find how far apart are the red and the black. The black billiard ball. So that is letter A. And again, your let statement can be different. So you could talk about the distance between them, the length between them, the length of the line segment, whatever you think makes sense, the most sense to you, okay? So we're looking for the one side. So most or often, these problems require more than one step, okay? So this problem right now, we don't have side, side, side. We don't have side, angle, side. We don't have a ratio, a complete ratio at all for A. We don't have angle A or side A. So we're going to have to do 2 steps. So if we have a full ratio, which we do, then we're going to use the sine law. So the only other side we have is side B. So we're going to find side B, we're going to use side B and find angle B. Once we have angle B and angle C, we can easily find angle A. And then we can use that and the sine law to find side A. So as you go and as you fill in the triangle, then you can kind of see what you have and what you need. You could also do what we did before and try, remember when you don't have a right angle, try the sine law first. So you could try that. So we're going to find side A. So if you want to make it easier for yourself, put A in the top. But it doesn't really matter. But we don't know angle A. We have side B. But we don't have angle B. In order to do cosine, you have to have side, 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 all the sides, which we don't. Or you have to have when you have a triangle that is not right angle, you have 2 choices, sine law or cosine law. Yes. Okay? So unfortunately, we can't find side A right away. But we have a full ratio, that's good, and we can find sine B. Now, lots of you asked me about the question that said sine M. Yes, it was in the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it in the bottom when I solve for angle B, so that because whenever, whether it's SOHCAHTOA, sine law, whenever there is the unknown variable in the bottom, there is always going to be one more step. You could also flip this around and put the sine B in the top. But if you do that, if you flip this, what do you have to do with this? Flip it too, okay? So if you forget to do that, you'll get the wrong answer. So you decide what you like better, but because so many students asked me about that question in the homework, I'm going to leave it in the bottom because there's always one extra step. When you have the completed side, you're probably going to want to change that into a number, and that's fine. So I'm going to do 62 divided by sine 82. And I'm going to keep a bunch of decimal places, okay? So it is a repeating decimal, but so I'm just going to keep 4. It doesn't really matter. I won't take marks off if you start to round, early in the beginning. I'll check your math, okay? So now this is what happens now. This is in the bottom. So we need to, we want it to come in the top, or we need to do the opposite of dividing. We are going to multiply. I'm going to put it in a different color to emphasize it, okay? Now it cancels on this side. Maybe you can see in this step to divide, you're going to divide by 62.6093, or you might want to rewrite it. So you decide. So I'm going to rewrite it because this cancels out, right? Top and the bottom, where it's like this divided by the same thing will give you 1. Okay, either way is fine. So you get 55 on this side. And now the sign B is on that side, which is great. Yes, it's in the top. We're good. However, it is still not isolated. So now, in order to get the sign B by itself, we need to get rid of this or do the opposite operation. So if this is multiplying, what are we going to do? Divide. Okay, so they cancel. I'll put it in a lighter color so hopefully you can still see. Oops. Again, maybe you're good with just going right ahead and doing that math. You can also rewrite it. How do I get rid of the sign? Yes. Good. Sine inverse or sine -1. And hopefully now you've done a bunch of these questions and you really have done good work here. If let's say your number didn't look like this, let's say it was like 8.785. That's not usually it looks like this, 0 point something, yes? So then hopefully you'd be like, oh, I think I messed up, and you could go and redo your math, check your decimal place, because the questions, once you get to this stage, they all look pretty similar. So the answer is 61.5, really. So it's up to you. When you do these kinds of questions, if it does, especially if it doesn't say how many decimal places, then because we're going to do 180 minus 61.5, then maybe minus 82, maybe you would rather round that to 62 and that would be okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to write it up here because it's just one line, so I want to save this room, okay? So now we're going to find angle A. If you want, start labeling your triangle, put in what we found, okay, so that you can see what we have. And now we are ready. Now we have angle A, so we can find side A. And when you do these word problems, now we have we have two complete ratios. You can use C, you can use B. Most people, for whatever reason, it's like you don't trust your work. So then most people will go back to using the complete ratio for C because those values you're given, but it really doesn't matter. You should get the same answer, okay? So you decide what you like. I'll write in red this time. Oops, whoa. And this one, make it easier for yourself. Okay, so we're going to find side A. So since we're looking for side A, put A in the top. And then you don't have to worry about this extra step business here, okay? And like I said, you can use B, you can use C, but most students would go back to the C because that's what you guys were given. So, but it really doesn't matter. There's even another shortcut you could do. You already calculated 62 divided by sine 82. You can write this now over here. But again, maybe, I don't know, maybe you don't trust yourself. You want to double check your math. But you should get the same thing. Like it's the same ratio. I just even double checked my own math. Again, when you have the variable in the top, then many of you will be like, you know what, I can see already that I'm going to be multiplying by sine 36.5. Maybe you want to do it as one step, and that's totally fine too, okay? So now we need to multiply. You can, if you don't prefer to leave it as sine 36.5, you can do that in your calculator, change it into a number. Oh, this is... And then finally, squeeze it in there, write a little sentence, okay? The distance between red and black is 37.2. Let's say you just put A as 37.2. I wouldn't take marks off as long as you had an answer statement with units in it. You could do that too. That's those of you that are going to be into physics next year, that's probably what you'll do. So that's fine too. Okay. So then this question. While flying a helicopter, a pilot spots a water tower 4.8 kilometers north and a monument 5.6 kilometers south. So first of all, north and south are like this to each other. That makes no sense. So I think this should be west. That makes more sense. Also, looking at the picture, it makes more sense. So the pilot is here. He is looking at the water tower, which is 4.8 kilometers this way. And some kind of monument, like a statue or something, is 5.6 kilometers this way. The water tower and the monument are separated by 7 kilometers. Find the angle from the point of view of the pilot. So there are lots, we love these kinds of questions about point of view. So you have to think about, like if you're the pilot here and you're looking, like what's the angle from your point of view? This is where you are, so that's the angle you're looking for. So again, yes, it says pilot, monument, water tower. You could use PMW. But if that you think if that's going to screw you up, then just continue to use A's and B's and C's, and then write your let statement with those variables. Okay. So I'm just going to call this A, B, C. So then we're looking for angle A. You could even do like point of view, you could do POV. I would even accept that, okay? I love short forms. So now we are looking for an angle. We have 3 sides, so we're going to use the cosine law. So this is one of those ones where you can use the rearranged form of the cosine law, or you can use the side length form and plug them in, whatever you want, okay? Now, you could, because I labeled this myself, then if you're given the A form of the formula, then you can make sure, because it doesn't really matter as long as you label it right, you can make sure that A, which you're looking for, is going to be like the angle up here. So let's say it was B, the formula I gave you, you could put B up here and then it would be, so if this is B, it could be like A, B, C, right? So just label your triangle, write a let statement that applies to your triangle, and it should work out. Yes? You have to, yes. So I can make a little note. Yes. You can't do that because you don't have an angle with its corresponding side. Yes, you have to. Yes. You can do that and rearrange. Yep, that's totally fine. Okay, so you're given side, 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 no angles, so you're not going to have a filled ratio for sine law. So the big thing here is because we are looking for the point of view from the pilot, that's angle A, that you put side A first, okay? The other two, if you mix up the order, that doesn't really matter. But it has to be whatever angle you're looking for, that's the side that goes there, okay? And then again, decide how much math you need to show. So I'm going to show it all, okay? So 7 squared is 49. 4.8 squared is 23.04. 5.6 squared, 31.36. And I'm actually going to not even do this yet. Okay, so a big thing that, again, is a big focus of trig in grade 11 is what happens when when the inverse here, what happens when this number is negative. It actually doesn't say error, but you get the wrong answer for what we're doing here. So really make sure you're careful with the subtracting, that you don't forget it's -2 down here, because you would get an answer, but it's not the right answer. Okay, so be careful with negatives and positives. And we're done. This one is a little bit simpler, but you should have an answer statement, okay? Okay, so I apologize. I also feel like this picture did not photocopy super well, okay? So it's asking us to find the height of the cliff, okay? So somehow, some way, show what that's going to be. So the height of the cliff is this height here. This is the cliff. So it's easier, I apologize, it's easier to see in my picture because you can see where the river is, yes? So I'm going to call this X. So you could even write, let AB be the height of the cliff. That's fine too. If you don't have something that'll go superimpose over top of the picture. Okay, so triangle ABC. I like this triangle. It's got a right angle in it. Let's do this. We have 33. That's fabulous. However, if I'm going to do sine, let's say, I would need the hypotenuse. We don't have that. If I wanted to do opposite, then I could use tan, but then we would need the adjacent side. So what we have to do is 2 steps. We're going to use this triangle to find BC, which is then going to be our adjacent side to 33 to find X. Okay? So this is a very common type of word problem. There's 2 triangles, a non-right angle and a right angle. Okay? No, but maybe on the test. Okay, so we need to find this adjacent side first, BC. So I'm going to call that, I'll use Y. So we need that side first. Now, if we are going to use this triangle, it is not a right angle. So when you have no right angle, try sine law first, right? Which means we need a complete ratio. So we have this 160, which would mean we would need angle B. Can we find angle B? Yep. So always try to use sine law first. So that's going to be 68. So this is side B. And we called the adjacent side Y, but what else could we call it? It's side D. Yes, we can find side C, but we don't care. So if you do that, that's fine. It's just more work than you have to, okay? We don't need it. So whether you write Y or you write D, it doesn't matter. So whatever makes more sense to you. Maybe you're used to using X and Y's in word problems and you'd rather do that. It really doesn't matter. I recommend when you do a problem like this and you're kind of like building on what information you need, fill in stuff as you go along. So we found angle B, write it in there so that you can see where it goes, okay? So then on this side, side B is 160. Its corresponding angle is 68. We need this complete ratio, yes? I chose to write the side lengths in the top so that I didn't have to do where the variable I wanted was in the bottom. You decide what you want to do, okay? It really doesn't matter. Okay? So now we need to multiply. And again, maybe you are noticing that this is the same thing sort of over and over again, and you can do it all as one step. That is totally fine, okay? If it helps, you could even rewrite it. My goodness. Do a better job than me. So we just found the adjacent side. We are looking for X. If that helps you, like especially in this crappy photocopied picture, maybe writing on the picture is not going to help you, okay? Because then now you're going to go back to what we did yesterday. So 33 degrees, side X is opposite. This is adjacent. We've already said that here, but again, maybe it's helpful for you to label it again, okay? Remember, just like yesterday, when we had word problems, many of the word problems use tan, right? Oh, that's not degrees, sorry. So this time, I'm not going to put the units there. I'll put the units in my sentence. Okay, so I'm going to show you another way that you can handle that. You just want to make sure that your final answer has units if it's appropriate. So you were given units here. That means that you have to have units in your answer. So the cliff is 85.9 meters high or 85.9 meters tall. That's fine too. Okay, and the last type of problem involves directions. So the weird thing to these problems is the way that they give you the measurements. So again, those of you that are going to take physics next year, this will be an important skill because you're going to talk a lot about how things move and what direction they go in. So, and then in grade 12 calculus, one of the things about measurements is you can have length or distance, and you can also have a direction that it travels in. And when you have a number and a direction, that's called a vector. So that's, again, sort of the next step. We're dealing with flat or scalar quantities. When you start to give direction, you guys are going to deal with math that involves trying to think about it in a three-dimensional way. So it's kind of cool. But that's what you're going to do next. So this is the first introduction to directionality. So if you are not used to that, then maybe draw for yourself a compass rose, okay? So there are many different ways to, what's it called? To little acronyms. Most people think of never eat shredded wheat. Does anybody know another one that they like? Okay. Never enter stinky washrooms. That's fabulous too, especially in elementary school. So, but whatever's going to work for you. So if you need to, draw a quick sketch because it is sort of weird the way that we deal with the measurements. So I'm just going to forget about a triangle for a second. If you look at this, north 30 degrees east. So what that means is you're going to start at north and you go 30 degrees towards east, okay? That's what that means. Or southwest, you would start at south and go a direction to west. Due west is a straight line, okay? So that kind of thing, all right? So we have a captain of a boat, leaves a marina, and heads due west for 25 kilometers. So for right now, I'm just going to I'll use C for captain, You can even write, my goodness. You can even write cap. Okay, and the captain goes west. Which direction is west? This way, yes. Okay, so 25 kilometers. And then heads, does it say where he's going? No. And then he heads north 30 degrees east for 20 kilometers. So this is where it gets weird, okay? So what you have to think of is the captain started here and now he's here, okay? So in this spot, you kind of need to think of a compass rose because we want to make a triangle, yes? So if we have, this is north, if these going north, 30 degrees east, so east is this way. This angle in here is 30. So then inside our triangle, what is that? 60. Okay? And then he goes 20 kilometers. It is very rare. The due west is easy because it's just a straight line. But when you're given a direction like this, usually you're going to have to do something like this, where you draw the compass rose and you draw your line. You have your directionality, so north, and then you go east. That is your line for the triangle, and then you have to do 90 minus whatever the angle is to get the angle inside the triangle, okay? So there's usually that first little step. No. I don't think so. Definitely not on the exam. I'm not sure about tomorrow, but they are in the homework, so, and it's good to do. Because now we're good. Now we have, and again, what I would do is just go in and label it. I already called this one C, so call this B. So how far is the boat from the marina? So the marina is where he started. So he went here and then he went up here. So we're looking for side B. Now it's the only side left, so that's also good. Okay, and we have side, angle, side. So what am I going to use? Yes, cosine law, good. But again, you could do the same thing, like you could try to use the sine law, try to plug it in, and then it wouldn't work, okay? So we're going to look for side B. So now, side B is what we're looking for. So it's a squared plus c squared minus 2ac. And then cos of B. If this screws you up, this essay in here, maybe even write side angle. Oops. I realize it just looked like angle A was in there, but it's not, right? It's red B, yes? So that's why I made this red. Sorry about that. But so label your picture a little bit more if you want, if you wrote the SAS in there. But you can also think of it like we only want one unknown, right? So we wrote our unknown here. That's what we want to find. So we have to know A and C. So really, it's just the two sides that we know the lengths of. You could even think of it that way. $625 plus 400 minus 500 is $525. Please don't do all this work and then forget to square root, okay? That's so sad. You did all the hard stuff. So then again, you can leave your answer like that, no problem, but make sure you write a sentence. Therefore, the captain is 22.9 kilometers from the marina. You want to make sure that you have units in your sentence. Or the boat. What did I say? The captain, the boat, whatever.